half the internet localized to this connection is not working today, but we'll see what actually gets recorded and what's
Yeah, I'm blurry. Just
you're
deal.
not as blurry as you were.
Yeah, no, I know. I came in, it was like 8-bit, but I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I, I don't know. What is even going on right now? Other than
I have no idea, dude.
well, Anthropic is apparently looking to do a little IPO here in the near future, which will represent probably the top of the bubble, is my guess.
Well, unless OpenAI goes to town, right? But but yeah, I random or not randomly, but you've reminded me. I got an email from the Anthropic class action lawsuit settlement.
Mm-hmm.
It's like check to see if any of your books were in this thing
Oh
list of
yeah.
books stole, and 7 of my books are in this list. So they're like, it could be like $3,000 a piece. Like, okay. I mean, most of them have other authors, and I'm sure take away lawyers' fees, I'll probably be like $33 at the end of it. But like, yeah, no, I'm definitely going to do this. And
Yeah.
then just saw the story this morning, like OpenAI is about to lose a similar case, and they'll probably have to settle that too. And that's going to be worth even more money because those guys were even more abusive. So, yay. It's nice to get paid for making content.
I wonder how that will actually go down. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
but we'll
But
see.
I wonder if that's actually related to their IPO. It's like, hey, we've got that out
It's
of the
out of the way.
way. We are now they
Well,
believe legally in the clear for what they do.
OpenAI is about to be found liable for having willfully uh, broken copyright, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that puts them on the hook for up to $150,000 per copyrighted work. Yeah, which is why Anthropic settled, right?
Sure.
Because that they couldn't afford that.
I'm
So
not a math wizard, but 3,000 is less than 150.
yeah, a lot less. And
A little bit.
yeah, for the people like me who wrote these books 20 years ago that no one's reading anyway, this
Oh
little
yeah. I mean,
windfall is nice.
sure.
But for these companies with all the money they're swimming in, apparently, although, it's apparently all in the same pool. I don't know. Yeah, $3,000 a work it would have been cheaper for them to buy the books.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
don't think that way, Brett. That's not what goes through their brain.
No, because this is easier. This is
Yeah,
literally easier just to
at
get
least
sued,
exactly.
settle.
We just steal it. Oh, we can. Let's just do that. Yeah.
I mean, that is the definition of cost of doing business to get established, and then they come, they just write a big check. It clears out, the backlog, the
Yeah.
elephant in the room.
Right. I mean, AI is so expensive. Like, it's not just the compute infrastructure stuff. You need data. You
Yeah.
have to train it on something, you know.
I wonder if they actually did like the calculus. They said, okay, we're just going to assume we're going to get
Mhm.
sued and we're going to have to pay $1 billion. We'll just assume that. So we're going to put that
Right.
money over here. How much damage or theft can we do for $1 billion? And then they like do that math and say,
Right.
okay, then we know we'll get sued. So we'll try to settle for $5,000 a book or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
backwards and say, oh, 3,000? All right, let's do it. Like,
I guarantee you that is exactly the math that occurred
yeah.
and the thinking. This is a time-worn, proven strategy.
Yeah.
Like safety features in cars. Like how long can we go without putting this stuff in a car before we get sued so many times by families that died in
Mm-hmm.
car crashes that it
Yep.
outweighs the cost of adding this to the car. That's how they made those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
This is really that's just crappy.
Yeah.
It's
And then their other option is like, look, if it doesn't work, then we just go out of business. It doesn't matter anyways. Right? I mean, like
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah, sure.
so
I think that was the Anthropic math. They were like, we could do this or we could go out of business. I guess we'll pay it.
yeah. I mean, this is a very easy conversation for them. Like this is
Yeah.
just to get
No,
us.
honestly, it's a good outcome for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, for those people that wrote these books that nobody's reading anyway, you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's like, yeah, I wish the AI companies had approached authors somehow or through their publishers or something and said, look, this is what we're trying to do. If you opt in, we'll give you $1,000.
Yeah.
Every one of them would have been like, yep. you know. But now it's gonna be a little bit more. I guess
Hmm.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. But
The I did not think of it in that context, but Anthropic,
Mhm.
in my opinion, and I have a lot of personal evidence, but that's it, has the
Mhm.
best coding models by far. I even tried the new Gemini stuff.
Yeah.
It's it's fine, but it's like, oh geez,
Do you
my
think this
furnace
is
just kicked on and
specific though to
scared the
what you're
hell out of me.
doing?
It it's one of those things that it's fine, but like if you're sitting there and you got like a cheap bottle of scotch and like a nice bottle of scotch, you're like, yeah, this will work, but like I'm looking at that
Well,
other thing, it costs the same amount of money.
right. I mean, this is probably not how things work, but I mean, Gemini, well, general purpose programming models, however you want to describe it, like these things are going to be optimized for like JavaScript and,
It's funny you
these,
mentioned that. Anthropic, I think, just announced they bought some JavaScript, whatever company.
yeah, I mean, because those are the most, like
Yeah.
that's what people want,
Yep.
right? And so I think you and I, as we, me especially, are on the outlier, part of the circle there, where like it's like C#. You're like, okay, I mean, it's pretty popular, obviously, different .NET frameworks maybe, and then it's like Windows App SDK and WinUI 3, and it's like this little single pixel thing out in the way corner. Like,
Hold
I'm
on.
not sure
I'm
that,
over there with a WPF flag, by the way. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, but that
of
there are
course.
decades of documentation out
Yes.
there, which is very good, honestly,
Hmm.
and lots of good feedback from active developers. It's been actively used, yada yada yada. I mean, the Windows App SDK is this perfect combination of like functionally lacking and then documentation lacking. It's just it's like the Wild West, except it's never going to be settled. It's never gonna turn into anything. It's just always going to be terrible. WPF at least has the maturity angle to it,
Yeah.
So
Which actually
there's
brings up
some.
a really interesting point.
Mhm.
If you are a new developer, which I definitely put myself into that category, when you go
Yeah.
to utilize these tools, you
Hmm.
immediately get directed into the classical solutions, if you will, because
Yeah.
you can get up and running
Yep.
instantly with those sorts of things. Whereas, like, if some new technology comes along, like the Windows AI runtimes, uh,
I know.
where it's impossible to get these tools to actually understand what's going on because there's no backstory, if you will,
Yep.
which is probably
Yeah.
why it was
Which is
easier.
probably why that will never happen
Yeah,
anyway, right?
that's
Like, you
it's
know,
it's really interesting. Like you think about that, like we may have pretty much. I don't want to say reach the end of like the new framework development. That is completely false.
well,
But for the vast majority of solutions out there, we might have because these AI tools be like, look, you can go learn this new framework, or I can go use, lack of better terms, I can build the same app for you in WPF in an hour, or we could spend a month using WinUI 3. Which do you want to use?
I first of all, no, you'd be insane to choose the latter one, but
Well, that's my point. But I mean,
just
that's
absolutely freaking insane. But um, if you think about like the market for like new apps, like as we think of apps today,
mhm.
iOS, obviously, iPad, I guess to a lesser degree, Mac to an even lesser degree, but those things you can make one app that runs everywhere. Swift UI, that stuff's probably pretty big. That Swift UI today is probably probably the only it's probably alone at the top
Yeah.
of new thing that is actually pretty popular. And then down the list you have the Kotlin stuff that Android has, or even Flutter or React Native maybe. But then after that, it's pretty much,
Yeah.
well, JavaScript and React and all that. But then beyond that, we're talking legacy stuff. You're like, okay, maybe I have this old app, I want to update it. You can do some WinUI front end if it's on Windows, whatever. But no one, you'd be crazy to. I mean, I don't even. If I actually cared to make an app, I don't even know how. Like, what would you even use? Like, that makes sense. That would run everywhere. Like, I guess it'd be React. I don't know, React Native or something.
Yeah. If you're trying to build one that runs on everything,
If you had to, yeah, do it that way.
you know what you build is just a web app.
Right, which is what that is
Yeah.
essentially. Or I
You
mean,
just build a website and just drop it
well, you
into
have
a
two
container.
teams. You have a team making Android, and you have a team making iOS, and that's but yeah, if it has to be everywhere somehow, I'm trying to imagine what that app would be. But like, yeah, web technologies would be the way to go. Like, it's clearly, And then, I look at that stuff at my age and I'm like, man, do I really want to get into JavaScript right now? My life isn't terrible enough. I don't know. Like, how could I make my life worse? Like, I don't know, switch from Windows App SDK to React Native. That's how.
There's at least more documentation for.
There is more document. That's true too. Yeah, no, yeah, React anyway. I mean, the
Yeah.
JavaScript React would be pretty straightforward
Mm-hmm.
as far as how much documentation there's. Because my God, there are so many resources. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is a terrible time to do this kind of thing.
Everything's terrible. It's always a terrible time to do everything.
Yeah,
So, except maybe not go public, but to me that feels like the top because
I feel like they're racing though here. Like, they're looking at this like this is going to explode. So, do we cash in right now? Because then we can, we'll have money. We can establish ourselves, and if the bottom falls out, we could survive it. Because these companies that are smaller that aren't doing this, can't do this, whatever, I think they're all going to get, flushed by the tsunami that's coming.
Sure, I tend to agree. I don't think Anthropic's going anywhere. Their models are too good. It is by far my favorite.
They're an acquisition target, dude. Like,
I think they're just going to go public. I think
no, 100%. But I mean, but the escape hatch for them, if that doesn't work out or whatever, is Microsoft, Google, Amazon,
sure,
or Apple, right? Buying them, and that would be a good outcome for them financially, either way, right?
Yeah, I mean, Apple's probably one of the few companies who could probably afford it and also get away with it.
Get away with it, exactly. Or from an antitrust.
Right, like Meta could not do this. Amazon
Apple could just go to court and be like, we'll just have Siri make the case for us. Siri, can you explain to the court why we should be allowed to...
The response would be something like,
and it's like,
yes, the weather is yellow.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm sorry, I don't understand that. You're like, see? You're like, yep, done. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Stupid world.
Yep. Anyways, we'll see. That's probably sooner rather than later, but not as soon as most people think. Usually when you start hiring bankers and stuff like that, it's like 18 months. But they're in a good spot. Like, the problem with OpenAI is that they have too much money. They've raised too much. They're too big.
They've committed too much as well.
Yeah.
The problem for a company like, well, I'm sorry, I said that as if there was some precedent for this. I can't think of any precedent. Enron, maybe. The problem for them is, like, once they start defaulting on these promises, I feel like there's a cascading series.
There's more than that. That'll be
right.
As soon as it's like, oh, we can't spend that 250
the first one,
billion.
the first one where it's like, like, and it will happen quietly at first. It'll be some company would be like, we took a $1 billion charge because of some big customer that didn't come through on this. Yeah, exactly. Yep. You know what I mean? Because, like, they don't want to. That would harm both those companies further if they name them. But we'll all know who it was. And we'll see. I mean, look, maybe we'll look back on this.
Yeah, don't they have some like deal with? Isn't it there like $300 billion with Oracle or something dumb like that? I don't know.
I can't even keep track of this stuff anymore. All I know is that Microsoft used to be their biggest investor by far, and now they're like their smallest investor by far. Like, if you look at what these other companies have put into them, it's like the 13 billion, whatever it was that Microsoft committed. Seems like small fish all of a sudden.
Yep. Here's the thing that part of my brain also wonders about. So we all agree that this is probably going to explode at some point in some capacity. I'm wondering if there's going to be new accounting regulation that comes out and says that these large commitments like this need to go through some certain level of scrutiny before
regulatory
they can be...
something. Yes. Well, by the way, those laws already exist. I mean, this is the thing that regulations, whatever they are, the Wall Street Journal's been making the case that, like, OpenAI materially impacts Microsoft's earnings. Thus, they are required by law to disclose exactly what those amounts are, what the risks are, and everything. And they do not do that. And Microsoft, of course, is like, we meet all the standard accounting principles, blah blah blah. And it's like, I've never seen any evidence of any SEC anything in our industry that I can even think of, like, forever. It's like this. It's like the department doesn't exist. So maybe they do. Maybe they're doing something. I don't know. Maybe they're busy with other industries. I can't tell you. But yes,
right, because this is
think about all the crap Microsoft's done over the past year. Activision Blizzard happened, but now it's all AI. They acqui-hired Suleiman and his entire team without buying that company, escaping regulatory anything. The UK looked at it briefly and they were like, okay, no, you met the letter of the law. It's fine, but we know what they did, right? And they have this open AI thing. I often complain about like Google is somehow able to transact over $20 billion a year in payoffs to Apple that neither company has ever reported in their finances anywhere. And no one questions this. But the Microsoft OpenAI relationship is exactly like this. It's designed to evade regulatory oversight, and as OpenAI is changing their corporate structure, we're starting to get a few more details, et cetera, et cetera. But like, this is like, at what point does like a partnership become a cabal or whatever?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a cartel, or I'm not sure what the right term is here, but like it's like this borderline legal, sort of not legal.
Fixing the markets.
Yeah.
And we're not getting rich. Son of a bitch.
No, we're not.